Hi everyone, I am Nika and welcome back to my channel Pretty Little Bibliophile, and welcome if you're new. I make book related videos, and today's video, as you can see from the title down below, is going to be a reading vlog as I read one of my most anticipated reads of 2021. I am very excited and I hope you are too. Please stay tuned until the very end because obviously I'll be talking about the book and what I felt about it in its entirety at the very end, and I'll be sharing a book review on it as well. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So I want to begin by saying a great big thank you to Hachette India for sending me a review copy of this beautiful book. It was on my most anticipated reads of 2021, so I'm really very happy that I am getting a chance to read this book along with many other amazing bloggers, because we have a read along going on. Today is the 19th of July and the read along officially starts from today, and I was very excited, so I decided to film this intro to the reading vlog today itself so that I can give you my opinion of the book as I have it before I start reading. So I think before we delve into the reading vlog and I include the other clips, I will begin by sharing a synopsis of this book in case you haven't heard of it already. But in simple words, this is a dark academia novel, so if you are interested in this subcategory of academia, thrillers, literary fiction kind of as well, you should definitely check it out. And yeah, let me tell you what the book is about. I'll read out the synopsis. St. Christopher's College, Cambridge is a closed world to most. For Mariana Andrews, a group therapist struggling through her private grief, it's where she met her late husband. For her niece Zoe, it's the tragic scene of her best friend's murder. As memory and mystery entangle Mariana, she finds a society full of secrets which has been shocked to its core by the murder of one of its own. Because behind its idyllic beauty is a web of jealousy and rage which emanates from an exclusive set of students known only as the Maidens, a group under the sinister influence of the enigmatic Professor Edward Fosca, a man who seems to know more than anyone about the murders and the victims, and the man who will become the prime suspect in Mariana's investigation, an obsession which will unravel everything. So it has also been blurred by David Baldacci, Lucy Foley, as well as Stephen Fry, and I have got very high expectations for this. So yeah, I will start reading it from today. Today is the Monday, 19th of July, like I just mentioned, and I will obviously be including snippets. As I read this book, I'll include my thoughts and updates and so on. So I hope you enjoy going on this journey with me. If you have read this book already, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below, and I'll definitely respond. I'm thinking I might also do this entirely new, Dark Academia series on here. So let me know what you think about that as well. But for now, that's it. I'll see you again with an update very soon. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Hey guys, so it's the same day, the 19th. It's a few hours later and I was just busy in the kitchen cooking and all of that. So I've just had some time to read this book. I have been reading a bit of it and I have some observations that I want to share with you already. So yeah, let me just start. I actually have already started to annotate, and the first aspect that I have noticed in this book is, when we generally read dark academia books, it's mostly there's a lot of introspection, of course, but it's very philosophical, mostly in dark academia books. But in this book, it's also the discourse is also centered a lot around psychological aspects. So there's a lot of, I would say, the science brought in as opposed to philosophy, and the story is being told through the eyes of the protagonist. I mean, so far she's the protagonist, Mariana Andrews, who is a group therapist, and it is through her eyes that we are seeing the story. And she has made certain comments which are very psychological, and that's something that I find is kind of new in a dark academia novel. I'll read out just a bit. Years later, in therapy, she came to understand that the playground was simply a macrocosm of the family unit, meaning her uneasiness was less about the here and now, less about the playground itself or the market in Athens or any other group in which she might find herself, and more to do with the family in which she grew up and the lonely house she grew up in. And there's another one. As a therapist, she knew a baby's first sense of self comes through its parents' gaze. We are born being watched. Our parents' expressions, what we see reflected in the mirror of their eyes, determines how we see ourselves. Mariana had lost her mother's gaze, and her father, well, he found it hard to look at her directly. So a lot of it is about her analyzing things in a psychological manner. So like I said, it's something that I think is very new when it comes to dark academia. Another thing is that so far we have actually not been introduced to the main characters, as in the students who are very central to this story. And once again, I think it's kind of different from most other dark academia novels, because often they are introduced very soon to you, and then it is only after that we get to see the whole story. So these are the two aspects that I'm finding different in this book, and that is not to say I am not enjoying it. I certainly am. It's an interesting and a very intriguing start, and I really am enjoying it. But since I have read only a few pages only, so I won't say much more than this, and I'll read a bit more and I'll let you know more about what I thought about it sometime later. Hi friends, so I have just finished reading part 1 of this book, and I already have 2 pages worth of notes, and I thought I would share a few of those points with you all, because I'll be going over all of them much more in depth in my review. So we have just been introduced to the villain's point of view, if we can consider it a villain. I'm assuming he's the obvious murderer, and that is not a spoiler, because within the synopsis itself we get to know that Zoe's best friend is murdered. So we have been introduced to the villain's point of view, and with these kinds of books you never know, this might be a villain, this might not be a villain, there might be a huge twist, so we never know. Then the book has introduced quite a few characters to us. For instance, this guy named Henry Ford, there's also a guy named Frederick. So it's really interesting because since this is a mystery, we know that there is a murderer who is hiding somewhere. So whenever we are introduced to these characters, it's like, okay, is this a clue? Is this guy going to be an important figure towards the end, and so on? So it really makes you wonder about the importance of each of the character that is introduced in the story. And another point that I found very strong in this book is that compared to most other dark academia novels like Secret History, If We Were Villains, all of that, this book has a lot of breathing space, and I think it is because we are coming at it from the outside. We are going at it from the outside in, and we are getting to see the story from essentially an outsider's point of view. So we still have to we have just started to delve into that academic atmosphere, and it definitely is interesting, and I certainly am enjoying it. Then we again have the reference to the transience of life, and there are various symbols to death, life. There's also a lot of philosophical introspections on tragedy and all of that, and some of them are actually really beautiful, so I'll read out a few to you all. Alright, so here's the first one. This is about, you could say, the transience of youth, of life. Did she and Sebastian ever look that young? It seemed impossible somehow. It was harder still to imagine anything bad ever happening to those innocent, unblemished faces, and yet she wondered how many of them had tragedy waiting in their future. We all secretly hope that tragedy will only ever happen to other people, but sooner or later it happens to you. And then there is this first reference to, this whole section is the first reference to Greek goddesses, and we know how classic and essential that is when it comes to dark academia. So there's this other line, and as she whispered this prayer, a cloud suddenly snaked in front of the sun, and for an instant, Sebastian's body was thrown into darkness, silhouetted against the blue sky. Mariana shivered and she felt afraid without knowing why. And one last line that I would like to share with you all, because these lines are definitely really very beautiful. I have to say, Alex Michaelides has written this dark academia novel really, really well, and I'm really enjoying it. And fainter still in the far distance was that the sound of laughter, the cold mocking laugh of a goddess. Okay, a few lines, and then after that everything was a blur. Mariana waded into the water, hysterical, howling like a harpy, screaming, and then nothing. 3 days later, okay, I won't read this bit because it might be sort of a spoiler, but that's that. I think this is such a beautiful book, and if you really enjoy reading dark academia novels, if you have enjoyed, the classic books, the Holy Trinity of the Dark Academia, then I would definitely recommend you to pick this one up. I mean, I've just read the first part, which is basically this much, and this is the rest, and within the first part itself I have underlined so many lines and found such a beautiful book. Then we also have references to gods, which is really interesting. And let me, this is the last bit of reading that I'll do, because I think this bit is really important and essential to the naming of the book, the stories and the story. The temple was dedicated to Demeter, goddess of the harvest, goddess of life, and to her daughter Persephone, goddess of death. The two goddesses were often worshipped together, two sides of the same coin, mother and daughter, life and death. In Greek, Persephone was known simply as Kore, or Kori, I'm not sure about the pronunciation, meaning maiden, and that is from where we get to see the title comes from, and it is definitely interesting. I am trying to space it out so that I enjoy it, but honestly I'm really very compelled to start reading part 2 as well today, so let's see what we do. But I'll definitely keep you updated, and I'll talk about it more later. And yeah, really enjoying it. Hey guys, so I have just finished reading part 2 of the Maidens, and I thought I would give you an update. So by finishing part 2, I'm like halfway in, I'm done with this part. So in part 2, the main events that I would say have happened are, finally the investigation is underfoot. Mariana is going about asking questions and all of that, and by the end of part 2, we have a theory form, so it's going to be really interesting and in figuring out if that is really true or not. But I'm assuming there has to be some twist, obviously, right? This is a thriller novel, so I'm really enjoying it. There has also been inclusion of Greek myths, Greek stuff and all of that, which essentially makes this dark academia because of the inclusion of the Greek discourse, I would say. So it's really interesting, really enjoying it, and we're getting to see a view of the characters and how their minds work, specifically Mariana. And about the culprit, I'm assuming he's the actual murderer. He seems really self-aware. He knows that there is something wrong with him and all of that, so it's really interesting. I don't know much about him because obviously he has not revealed much about himself either, but so far whatever I do know, it's very interesting, and I'm excited to see how this story will go forward from here. As far as I know, there must be, how many parts? Let me see. There are 5 parts. I have finished part 2, 3, 4, 5 is left, which I'll continue more tonight, I think. But so far I'm really enjoying it. Hi guys, so I wanted to give you a quick update of what my reading has been So far I took a couple of days off because I had classes, I had to work on assignments, a couple of projects, so I was busy. But today is Sunday and I have just finished reading part 3 of the Maidens, and we've got to see quite a few different ways in which Mariana has been investigating, trying to find out the new angles to the second murder that happened and all of that. And we also get to see a typical description of a dark academia atmosphere, of a dark academia room and all of that, which I am actually going to yeah, it's here, which I'm going to recite and share with you, because I just think that it's really beautiful and it really encompasses that feeling really well. Alright. She entered the living room. It was hard to see. The only light was from the half-melted, misshapen candles dotted around. It took her eyes a few seconds to adjust to the Stygian gloom, thick with burning incense, its black smoke further diffusing the light from the candles, making it harder to see. It was a large room, with windows overlooking the courtyard. Several doors led off to other rooms. The walls were covered with paintings, and shelves were crammed with books. The wallpaper was a dark green and black, a repeating pattern of leaves and foliage with an unsettling effect. It reminded Mariana of being in a jungle. There were sculptures and ornaments arranged on the mantelpiece and on the tables, a human skull glowing in the gloom, and a small statue of Pan, shaggy-haired, clutching a wineskin with the legs, horns, and tail of a goat, and next to it was a pine cone. So I think it really describes the dark academia environment really well, and then with music as well. It was Latin, a religious aria or a psalm set to music. It was beautiful but ominous, with pulsating strings like heartbeat, ironically mimicking Mariana's own anxious heartbeat as she ascended the stairs. So I think in terms of building the atmosphere, also the author has done a great job. And regarding the murder, even though we get to see in the synopsis itself that Mariana is convinced that it has to be the enigmatic professor Edward Fosca, I have two theories. I think, obviously I might be wrong, but I think the murderer might be Edward Fosca, or it also might be Henry Ford. I don't know, just gives me the vibes based on all the clues that I've picked up from whatever they've shared of their childhood and so on. So yeah, that's my synopsis. According to me, the murderer has to be Edward Fosca or Henry Ford. So far that's the thing, but don't worry, I'll make sure to keep this reading vlog very spoiler free, so whoever it is, I won't confirm or deny or whatever, and you'll get to know for yourself when you actually pick up the book. But that's my update for part 4. I am now going to continue reading part 4 as well. I've just finished part 3, so I'll continue reading part 4 as well, and I'll share the next update with you maybe tonight after I'm done with this, or however it goes, because it is quite a bit long, so I don't know how much I'll be able to read. But yeah, really looking forward to reading the next part. Hey guys, so I have just finished reading part 4, and honestly I don't have a lot to talk about in this bit, but just that I have my own theories regarding who the murderer is. But obviously, since this is going to be a spoiler free reading vlog, I won't mention any of that. But it's definitely getting a lot more intense now with all of the hunches that Mariana has and the theories that I've made up as well. And overall it's going quite well. It's really interesting, and obviously I started reading part 3 yesterday and I couldn't stop. I read 3, 4, and I've only got this bit left, which is part 5. I'll read this bit today as well and finish it, and obviously yeah, I'll finish it today and let you know about my ultimate, the final emotion that I arrive at after finishing this book. So I'll let you know about all of that. And so far it's definitely interesting. I have dog-eared many pages. I have, let me try and show you all the pages I have annotated, which is quite a few. So a lot of annotations as well. But yeah, I'll start reading part 5 now and I'll tell you how it is after it ends. But yeah, hi guys, so I just finished reading this book, and wow, I am at a loss for words, at a loss of words about what to say about this book. I certainly really enjoyed this book, and let me try and frame my thoughts in a way that is understandable for you all, because I'm still coming to terms with all the feelings that I felt during this book, because I've literally just finished reading it now. Okay, so the first thing I would like to address is, when I went through certain reviews of this book back when I first picked it up, I came across many polarizing reviews. Some reviews really thought that this was great, and some thought this was not great. Like, they were very polarizing. But what I would like to say is, I think maybe most people looked at it from a very superficial angle, because I think this is a masterpiece, because the interplay of psychological elements along with dark academia was done really well. I did not expect that. It's so much about the mind as it is about the personal mind, as it is about the interactions between people, and how it's about obsession, about psychopathy, about everything like that. It's so deep. There is such depth in this book, and if you look at it only from a superficial level, I don't think you're going to get it. But it's just really so well done. And yeah, by the way, I told you I had 2 theories about who the murderer might be. Let's say I was very incorrect, and you couldn't have guessed who the murderer is, about how it all connects up, the ties. Let me tell you, you won't be able to theorize it. I mean, unless you're like as smart as the author. I wasn't able to make definite conclusions about who the killer was, who the murderer was, until the very end. And I have to say that I was very shocked. And without giving you too much of a spoiler, I'll just say that it's not a very black and white thing. A lot about this book is along the gray area, along the gray lines, things that you don't necessarily pay attention to or think of, and it's not very distinct. It's not either right or it's not either wrong, and the author does plant many red herrings along the way, so you will never know for sure about the actual culprit. So yeah, that is my immediate thought on this book, and maybe I'll try to write it down and make a comprehensive review of what I felt about this book, and I'll share that with you very soon. But for now, this is it about my experience with this book. I really loved it, and I'll get back to you soon with a more comprehensive and more sensible review. But yeah, you should definitely read this if you haven't. And once again, thank you very much to Hachette India for sending me this copy for this book, and I really loved it. And as a dark academia, this one was a supremely aesthetic work that is just really, in the words of Lucy Foley, utterly compulsive. So yeah. Hey guys, so I have finished this book, and I thought I would share my final thoughts with you all now. That said, I did share quite a few of the points I wanted to talk about when I made the clip immediately after finishing this book, but I'll elaborate a bit on that now. So the first thing that I really noticed is that this is a very psychological take on the whole genre of dark academia, and it really made me realize how Greek tragedy and psychology is all very much related. I mean, of course it is, because Freud was inspired by it all, and we have the Electra complex, Oedipus complex, all of that. But those are, I would say, still very obvious, or things that we commonly know about. But this book really dives into the nuances of all of that, and I think this was really interesting for that matter, especially since we get to see a psychotherapist's point of view, group therapist rather, her point of view of all of it. And so it was really interesting. Another thing that I would like to point out is that this is not a very typical dark academia, in the fact that in the usual dark academia books, the story is from the point of view of a student who is within the action, but rather in this book we see the view of an outsider. So this was also a very interesting take, and one of the reasons why this book is also very misunderstood in the readers community. That might be it. And secondly, dark academia is actually dark. You know, this is about the dark aspect of academia, about the academic life, and often we tend to forget about that darkness. We only associate it mostly with the colors, you know, shades of colors, but it is so much more than that. It's so much about the psychology, human psyche, about psychopathy, obsession, love, the extremes of all those emotions, and it is all very well manifested in this book, in the actions of all the I was about to say actors, but like all the different characters, and the way they act around each other, and the way they, you know, slowly revealed things about themselves, their childhoods, and all of that. So I think this book really delves down into all of that. And apart from that, you know, even when we talk about dark academia, it is very elitist, as we saw in here, because it's mostly all of these privileged women who made up the whole Maidens group. So it was that as well. This was also a very I would say atmospheric book, because, you know, even though I was reading it, I was transported to that world of Cambridge, and I wanted to be there, you know, studying and dining and living life with the fellows and even the students, for instance. So this was really interesting, the way this author has taken dive into dark academia with his classic, you know, thriller psychological novel writing style. So it was done really well. So overall, I do think that this was a masterpiece, and one you should definitely check out very soon, because this was just an amazing book. And I mean, I've already shown you all the different dog marks I did, the different annotations I made as well, all the underlines and the underlining I did in my book. So it was, yeah, very interesting, and I also absolutely love the cover. So yeah, if you haven't read it yet, please do. I rated a complete like 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely recommend. And yeah, thank you so much for coming along with me on this reading vlog. I certainly had a lot of fun, and if you like this, don't forget to let me know down by commenting down below. And yeah, I'm thinking of making this into a series, so I might do a reading vlog for another dark academia novel very soon. If you have any specific recommendations for any dark academia novel you would like me to pick up, definitely do. I would love to see your suggestions. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and I hope you pick it up too. And thanks a lot to Heshat India once again for sending me this book. And yeah, thank you all for watching this video. If you have already subscribed, thanks a lot. If you haven't, please do subscribe, and click on the thumbs icon down below to like this video. And I'll see you all very soon. Thank you so much for coming by and supporting me, and yeah, peace, take care, bye.